Here's how I made a trapper from Darktide. Sometimes a head swap is all you need from a Kitbash to really sell the idea you're going for. This is one of those cases. This model from Station Forge's corrupted guard nomads is almost exactly what I needed. All that was missing was the trapper's mask. I tried a few different heads and thought they weren't close enough to the mask in-game. The flamer's head from the same kit is close, so I used Boolean differences and separated it from the rest of the body. I made a third eye lens with cylinders and spheres. Next, I made some gas filters by importing a cylinder, selecting faces, making insets, and extruding. I rounded some edges as well with the bevel tool. I created little vents by importing a rectangle, beveling the edges, and then using Boolean differences to make cuts in the gas filter. When the gas mask filter was finished, I copied it several times and moved the filters into place. To further match the reference image, I masked off areas I didn't want to move with the mask tool and then used the elastic deform tool to pull the cloth over the filters. If you stretch things out too much with the elastic deform tool, it can create really ugly marks and bad geometry. This happens because there aren't enough vertices and faces to stretch. I wanted to fix it using the smooth tool, but there just aren't enough vertices to create a better surface. I tried remeshing the object to give it enough geometry to smooth out the ugly stretch marks using the remesh tool in Blender, but it crashed. So I imported the model into a free program called Mesh Mixer. In Mesh Mixer, I went into Edit, then Make Solid, and increased the solid accuracy and mesh density until I was happy with the result, and pressed Accept. Just to be safe, I went into Analysis, Inspector, and then Repair All, just to make sure nothing was too messed up. Then I imported the remeshed object and, in sculpting mode, used the Smooth tool to smooth the ugly creases out. And that's the digital part of the Kitbash done. I had a print failure on one of the skulls on his waist, so I cut off the part that printed and then replaced it with one of the skulls from the Citadel Skulls kit. Make sure to wear goggles or something when clipping resin since it flies everywhere. It would suck having a little piece of resin hit your eye. I added a knife and jewelry chains. I also attempted to make handcuffs by taking a different gauge of jewelry chain, cutting off a small length, and then pinching some of the rings closed with pliers. I glued on the arms and added a little green stuff to try to smooth the edges and fill the gaps. Nice. This was my first time using liquid green stuff. I normally like to combine everything and then print it to avoid gaps like this, but here we are. I then added a ton more skulls, trying to roughly match the placement in game. I finally made really small ropes of green stuff and added them to a few skulls. And that's the Kitbash done. Now on to painting. This is going to be eerily similar to the other Darktide Kitbashes I've done. The only big difference is using yellow ochre on some of the armor pieces. If you want an in-depth walkthrough of how I painted it, I recommend watching my other Darktide 3D kitbashes, specifically the Scab Gunner kitbash. After base coating, I applied an all-over oil wash, and after a few minutes, wiped away all the excess with a dry brush. I let that dry overnight, and then highlighted everything with the base coat mixed with either model color buff or white. I started highlighting the armor with French Mirage Blue and worked my way lighter and lighter by adding more model color buff. I finished weathering the armor with almost pure buff and making little scratches and dots, and occasionally making deep cuts by painting a thin line of black above the scratches. I also added a little bit of warmth by going over the exposed skin with Reikland Flesh Shade. Next, to paint the arrow on the trapper's mask, I thinned white paint with water and Flow Aid to make the paint go on real smooth like. I cleaned up the edges with something close to his mask color. This sort of detailed action is always difficult to film, but I think it turned out alright. I glazed on some orangey red onto the eyes and mask, and then carefully added white reflections. I highlighted all the metal with silver, and then finally panel lined with Nuln oil to help create some separation where needed. A bit of a dark color that is traced along the edge of a part helps delineate that part. For example, it made the shoulder strap stand out a little bit more from the Mini's back. I added the trapper to its base, and it was done. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. Consider checking out my Buy Me a Coffee if you're trying to support the cause. Leave any feedback and suggestions in the comments below. Alright, bye-bye.